Take three. Come on, I gotta do this. All right, yeah, take three. So this is a part what if thing. I messed up again. I don't want to restart it. Oh, gee. Okay, yeah, I'm just leaving this part in. What's up, guys? I'm back. This is part two of what if Deku got like had the element of fire, aka what if he was Kai, and yeah, it's been a bit. Oh, gee, I don't know what's going on, but yeah. Um, as you can see, the fixture, I changed it because the last one was dull and boring looking, but this one makes him look like a fire god. So yeah, hopefully I could actually get it done this time and actually have a video posted for today. So if you're seeing this, then it clearly worked out. But yeah, let me just get into it because I've spent way too much time doing this. Um, so where I left off was the entrance exams. Deku just finished that. And yeah, so Deku flies back home to the front door, like of his house, of course, and he opens the door, taking off his shoes and saying that he's home. And Inko comes out of the living room and says like, "Hey, how did the exams go?" Eh. I just had Denny's. My oof, yeah. Deku tells her he easily got in, and Inko laughs, saying like, "Oh, you've always been so cocky, like you're hot headed or something." Which it makes Deku laugh. And then he tells her like he'll get the results in a week. I gotta sit properly in my chair. I feel uncomfortable. I'm such a terrible like YouTuber. All right. Again, off topic way too much already. So yeah, a week later, like goes by, and Deku's working out in his room when Inko like knocks on the door, saying that the UA letter is here. So Deku opens the door and Inko hands him the letter. So, he opens it and Inko tells him to like let her know if he passed or not. And he says alright. Then like the hologram turns on. So All Might appears saying like Deku got first out of all the people that participated, and Deku nods, has All Might's message like continued. And it ends off with All Might saying like school starts tomorrow. So yeah, the next day Deku like gets ready to fly off to school, but Inko tells him to like let her take a picture first. And like she was bragging about like Deku getting into UA with her neighbors because it's just normal, ain't it? That's just what moms do. They like to brag if their child does something good. But yeah, so Deku tells her okay, like that's enough, and then takes off. So he lands behind some trees to like not cause a scene, and then walks in. And he finds Class 1A and opens the door. Him and Bakio like instantly hate the school when they make eye contact because they were like, "Dang it, why did I have to go in the same class as like him?" And Ida starts like fast walking towards Deku because he can't run in school, I guess. But Deku, he just surrounds himself like in a small aura of fire and says like, "Don't do this on the first day." So Ida clenches his fist, saying, "There's no respect to be found from these low-class hooligans," or something like that. That's just that's. I feel like Ida would say something like that. So Deku makes the flames get like slightly bigger and says like, "Nah, you gotta say sorry now. You gotta you gotta apologize like how Dax did." But nah. I still remember when Dax did that, and that was the thing. That was funny. Say so sorry. Say so. Ah. What was I talking about? Okay, Ida. Wait, my memory is just stupid this week. I don't know why. Ida smirks and says like, "What will you do about it?" And Deku throws a punch like surrounded by the fire at Ida, which he doesn't see coming, but the flame goes out before like the punch lands. Ida does get hit though, and is like sent into a wall. But Deku looks around and then sees a man in a yellow sleeping bag. just like, with his eyes red, glowing type, and he says like, okay, the teacher, or Aizawa, I'm gonna just say Aizawa, yeah, he says like, okay, he deserved that, but don't make me have to expel you already. And Deku just bows and says like, sorry, Sensei, because he knows. And Aizawa gets up and says like, don't do it again. But Deku sits down, and Aizawa tells them to go outside so he can see their quirks and like where they stand. And the entire time, like as I was talking, Deku could feel someone staring at him. Honestly, he turned around and seen like Todoroki dead eyeing him. He was like staring him, like basically through him is what he did. And so he looked away, and Deku turned back around, like like what the heck was that? And Uraka, I'm gonna say she asked like, wait, like, aren't we supposed to go to an orientation? And Aizawa says, no. And, like, he says, yeah, but no. And more questions pop up, but Deku just gets up and walks out. And Aizawa just points and says, like, why can't you just do that? And the rest walk out, like, and Aizawa tells Bakugo and Kirishima to drag Ida out. Bakugo's, like, forced to, or else he gets expelled. So, yeah, that's probably the only reason why he did it. So yeah, everyone makes it out, and Aizawa tells Deku to throw the ball. So Deku walks up, grabs the ball, and Aizawa like says to use his quirk as well. So Deku nods and surrounds his hand in fire, and hold up, yeah, uh, yeah. So Deku nods and surrounds his hand in fire, and he puts back his hand and throws it full force. So Aizawa looks at the little device in his hand and like shows it to the class. It's 987 meters. I have to make it an odd number. So everyone gets impressed except for Bakugo, Todoroki, and unconscious Ida. And the class begins to say like how this will be like kind of fun, like comparing their scores. But Aizawa tells them like whoever ends up last will be expelled. So they all turn it into like high gear instantly and get serious. And they finish, and Aizawa shows the scores. Like Mineta gets last, but Aizawa says like he's not getting expelled. He would get expelled, but I don't think I could remember that later on. Honestly, I probably won't even mention Mineta, but nah, I'll go either way. I don't know. I'll say like I'll say he's still in for now. How about that? So yeah, the class gets confused, but Momo says like, "Oh, you didn't know?" Like he was kidding. Like sorry, I should have told you all. And they all yell at her, saying like, "Yeah, do that next time." But the day ends, and everyone packs up and leaves. So yeah, I just got to get that little part out of the way because that was a thing. And a few more days go by, and then the class is told like All Might is teaching today. So everyone gets pumped, but All Might rushes in and begins to explain like what they'll be doing. And after like they get told what's going on, All Might tells them to get into their hero costumes and meet outside. So everyone gets theirs, like their costumes, and see like Deku's as well. And of course it's the kimono one he's wearing. Like he's wearing the mask as well, so he's like full on ninja now. And they all think like it looks sick, and Deku just says like things. But All Might interrupts and starts to draw teams. So the first teams matched are Deku and Momo versus. Okay, I have like two different teams I could have chosen from, so I'm trying to think which one. Yeah, okay, so Deku and Momo versus Todoroki and Ida. I'm gonna put it that one. I had another one in mind, but nah, I'm gonna keep it with this just because it's easier. So Deku looks at the three of them and says, "All right, sure, that one it seems all right." I hear something. So Deku and Momo they stand outside of the building, and Momo asks like, "What can his quirk do?" And Deku replies saying like, hold up. You gotta tell me yours first. Like it's only polite." And she says, "Fine," and goes over her quirk. So Deku thinks about it and says, "That's a really useful quirk," and it explains like your really edgy hero costume. And her face turns red and demands him to like tell her his quirk now. And like Momo's costume is pretty edgy. I ain't gonna lie. Like that's a isn't that like a 15-year-old or something? I don't know, man. It is what it is. But yeah. So Deku goes over the basics of his quirk, and she says like that's kind of overpowered. So really, the odds are in their favor, of course. Like they got a creation quirk and they have a fire god with them. So yeah, they they know that Ida has a speed quirk and Todoroki has two quirks, but for some reason only uses ice as like what they see so far. And Deku says like I might actually do something about that. So Momo tells him like no, don't try and go off like the plan. And Deku tells her like don't worry. It'll be a distraction for you to get by. And All Might counts like countdown and says go. So Deku and Momo they nod like to each other and walk in. And they keep walking, but then Deku like senses Todoroki coming. So they both hide and Momo whispers like saying, "How did you know he was there?" And Deku responded saying like he can feel the presence of people that have quirks that deal with like fire or heat, like Bakugo for instance. And she says, "All right," and asks like if the coast is clear. He says no, like Todoroki's standing there in the way. So Momo tries to think of like how to get past, but Deku tells her like this is the distraction part. So she nods and Deku walks out saying, "What's up, Todoroki?" And he gets an angry look on his face with the ice becoming more intense, like Todoroki did. And Momo runs off, but Todoroki doesn't care. Like he underestimates everyone at this point. So he tells Deku that he will lose. Deku says nothing, and Todoroki starts to like feel the ice melting and looks at his left side to like see fire forming around him. And that's a no-no for him. So he covers it up with ice instantly and yells saying like what's going on. And Deku asks him like why doesn't he use his fire? And Todoroki glares at Deku with the dead eyes again and says like that's none of your business. And he continues by saying like now that I know your power can control my fire, there's no way you're getting out of this now. So then he starts to surround the room with ice. And Deku just looks at it and then flames start to form around his hands. Like he's just looking around seeing the ice form around him. And the ice around him like in the room form into spikes and then they launch at Deku. So he dodges them all like he's got ultra instinct or something and aims himself towards like Todoroki midair. And he darted at him using his fire and kicked him in the chest. So Todoroki was like pushed back, but he had ice armor that protected him. So Deku seen that and made his fire like brighter, and the room started to melt, and the air started to like look like an illusion. Like you know how when you're out on a grill and you're cooking, and then like the smoke comes up and it like makes the air like all wavy. Like that's basically what it is now. So yeah, the ice started to turn into fire around the room now. Like it was like dripping water, but also was becoming fire. So he looked back at Todoroki and said, "My fire will always beat your ice." And Todoroki gave an angry but slightly like worried expression. And he threw more spikes at Deku. So the room was extremely hot at this point, like that it made the ice spikes melt before they could even reach Deku. So Todoroki started to breathe heavily while wiping the sweat from his forehead, and All Might's voice came over the intercom telling Deku to like calm down his fire. And Deku's eyes, like, they started to gain like small flames around them, and he asked Todoroki like, why doesn't he like fire, like, again. And Todoroki like struggled to even like stand at this point, saying like, your fire means nothing to me. After he said that, like, bro, they both like were clashing their elements as if it were like a battle between gods. Like, you have the god of ice and you have the god of fire. Like, that's how intense it got right after that. And switching to Momo's point of view, as she was searching for the room, she could tell like something was going on. Like, the temperature was changing back and forth, like between hot and cold. It was just crazy. So, she knew it was Deku and Todoroki, of course, but she like just has to trust Deku to win the fight or to like hold him off. So Momo was also like using a device that's similar to Jiro's quirk to find the bomb in Ida. Like, she was listening for like Ida or like a presence. So, she's smart, and she eventually finds the location of the bomb and hides behind the doorway listening in. So Ida is like talking to himself angrily, saying like that Todoroki, the number two son, doesn't even know how to show respect like those other like delinquents. And Momo decides to take the opportunity to sneak past Ida. So the class, including All Might, like, are watching Deku and Todoroki's fight go down, so they don't even know that Momo's in the room. So, she makes it to the bomb and turned on her mic telling Deku like she's at the bomb. And Deku responds saying like all clear, and she's like she might want to hurry up cuz this fight is starting to get like very irritating. And yeah, here Momo says like all right and then touches the bomb. So the buzzer goes off and All Might like jump not expecting for the buzzer to go off already, and he says over the intercom that the heroes win because he's seen Momo touching the bomb. And Ida starts to like looking around and sees like Momo touching the bomb, and she says it's not polite to talk about others behind their backs. And she just basically put off a Deku with the polite crap. So switching back over to Deku's view, the buzzer went off and Deku stopped fighting. And he gets rid of all the flames and tells Todoroki like it's over. And Todoroki gets mad and says like no, it's not. Like, like he can control the system or something. So Deku looks back up to see like a large spike aiming for him. And it's that time. I gotta take a drink of water. Ah. Oh geez, water just tastes good. I don't know why. Yeah. So Totoro, no, not Totoro. Deku. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Deku. He's too worn out to dodge it in time, and before like it hits him though, All Might shows up and breaks the ice in pieces. Like he darted to their location, and he turns around asking if Deku's are like okay, and he says like yeah I'm fine. Then he turns to Todoroki and says like what was that about? And Todoroki breathes heavily like saying like what does it matter to you? And then he struggles to walk out of the building, and Deku looks at his gi and gets mad, saying like, "Ah, I should have expected this." Like the upper half of the gi is just torn up and destroyed, like it's Goku's clothing or something. So Todoroki went to the recovery girl, and then he also went to the principal's office because you can't do that. Like even if you're the son of the number two, you can't just like do that. And Deku, Momo, and Ida, like they went to the rest of the class for a review. Deku didn't go to Recovery Girl because he wasn't insanely hurt. He was just tired. And when Momo seen how beat up Deku was, she said like she wasn't expecting it to be that serious. It makes him a blanket to cover himself up. So Deku grabbed the blanket and said like thanks. And I would say Mina and Hagakure, they took that as a sign of like a future ship or something like that. So yeah. All Might went over their test and congratulated Deku and Momo on their trust for one another during the situation. Like, he seen that they even came up with the plan and everything before, like, they even walked in. So then Ida, like, he told Ida that he needs to pay more attention when he's about to encounter an enemy or a fight. Like, be on guard at all times. And, the rest of the test goes along as normal. But, like, as they continued, Deku could tell that Bakio was angry at something. Like, he was like he could just tell. Like, he's known him for so long. Like, okay, yeah, he's angry. And the class ends, and they all head back to their classroom to hang out before they leave. But Deku goes up to Aizawa and wakes him up. Ah. um, I'm gonna say Aizawa opened his eyes and said, like, "What do you want?" Like, he don't want to be disturbed. Like, yo, you don't mess with Aizawa. So Deku looked at him and asked Aizawa, like, to use his quirk on him. And he looked confused, of course, by, like, but then said, like, if I do, then will you leave me be? And then Deku, like, nodded. So Aizawa activated his quirk, and Deku, like, tried activating his fire. And Aizawa told Deku, like, see, your quirk doesn't work, now leave me alone. Then he like seen a small flame fade in and out from Deku's hand, and Deku just looked at it and told Aizawa thanks, then let him be. So Aizawa sat there wondering, like, how did Deku just get out of his quirk? And after that, Deku sat down and started, like, writing stuff down in his notebook. Like, this boy's on his research. Like, yo, he's like, okay, yeah, boom, got it. And the next day starts up, and Aizawa tells them that they're gonna go to the USJ. And some students, like, started asking questions, of course, because why not? I guess, but Aizawa told them to, like, ask questions when they get there. And they make it out to the bus, and then, like, they get in. So Froppy looks at Deku and says, like, huh, so you already patched up your costume. And Deku just looked at her and said, "Of course I did. Like, I don't want to disrespect who gave me this. Plus, I don't want to walk around looking like a caveman." And yeah, so Froppy was trying to, like, ask him about that, but Deku said, "Nah, I ain't telling you who." And then Mina looked at Momo and whispered, saying, like, "So do you two know each other already?" And Momo looked at her and said, like, "What?" So Mina brought up the fact that they're already, like, a good team, so she was just expecting that they have, and that doesn't make too much sense, but it did in my mind. So I don't know, it's basically that. I don't know. That's basically what it is. You could like go up to a girl and, like, give them a tissue, and they could say thanks, and then they're like, everyone around you, like, oh shoot, like, yo, you trying to get? No, bro, I'm trying to give them like a tissue, like, back off. But oh man, that just became too real because that happened to me. um did it work out? I don't remember if it worked out or not. I have no idea. If I can't remember, then most likely it didn't, but yeah. Jeez, that just went real, but okay. Yeah, let me continue on before something else happens. But yeah, so where did I go? Where did I leave off? Uh, yeah, so Mina brought up the fact that that happened, and Deku chimed in saying, like, "Nah, I haven't met her before, but that teamwork was pretty good. Like, I can't lie, that was pretty decent." And Mina got surprised that Deku heard her, and then said, like, "Oh, all right." And then she switched the subject, talking about Deku and Todoroki's fight, and Deku thought about it, and said like, yeah, I haven't fought like that in a while. So it was kind of refreshing. And I'm gonna say Todoroki didn't hear it because he was in the back of the bus. So they all continued, talking, and then made it to the USJ. Bleh. I can't speak when I'm making these videos. I'm just a. Can I even say retard anymore? Or is that a bad word? Yeah. Can I even get monetized with that word? Oh, please tell me I don't have to censor that out. Yo, I said the R word. I'm gonna probably have to censor. Dang it! Why? Why? I don't want to censor. Alright, fine. I'm just gonna have to censor that out. I'm an idiot. There we go. I'll just say that instead. I'm an idiot. Okay, I can't speak because I'm an idiot. Oh, jeez. I hate how I'm monetized now, so I actually have to be careful. So they walk in, and 13 starts talking to them about their quirks and, being safe with them. Do I really want to censor? Yeah, I'll censor it. I just have to keep it in mind. So, Deku starts to get a strange feeling in the air, and he can tell like something's about to happen. And a portal opens up with, and villains start to charge out, with other portals also appearing next to the students. And Deku, no, yeah, portals start to like appear next to the students and taking them away. That's what I'm trying to say. And Deku nearly gets like taken through one of them with Froppy and Mineta, but then he tells them to grab onto him, and they do. And he fights the portal suction to stay there. Like he ain't trying to get sucked away. So Uraraka sees that, and she's actually smart enough to go up and grab onto Deku, pulling him back while the others just watched. And the portal closes behind him, and Deku tells her like things. Then he asks like if Froppy and Mineta are alright, and they say yeah, but Mineta is like still shook, like he ain't messing with none of that. So Deku looks over at the other portals and rushes over to them, like attacking the villains with Aizawa, Kirishima, and Bakugo. I don't know if they got taken away. I'm pretty sure they didn't. So he runs next to Aizawa and says like, "How are things holding up?" And he says like, "All right for now, but we need more support." So Deku nods and said he'll be right back. So he flies towards Ida and then tells him to like get help. And he of course refuses, but he's an idiot. Like he's an idiot. But Deku says he better take off or else he use him as a body shield. So Ida then goes for help because he ain't trying to mess with that. And Deku rushes back to see Aizawa getting beaten up by a large creature. And he charges in and attacks the thing, getting away from Aizawa. And I'm saying Aizawa's not insanely damaged, but his elbow is still bloody from Shigaraki. I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And Deku's attack did nothing. And, after he realized that, he decided to go like all out and put his fire into like one motion, and I'm about to explain that. So he yelled over to Shigaraki and asked like, what is this thing, because Aizawa told Deku that he was the leader. So Shigaraki laughs, saying like, it's a Nomu, a being that is created to kill All Might. And Deku gets like in a stance and thinks to himself like, okay, this is very serious. Like there's no playing around. And he stomps his foot to the ground and begins like beginning to like surround himself in fire. Then he says, I hope this works. So the fire around him starts to spin in a current. Okay, and then it gets stronger and stronger. Then it forms into like a fire tornado that's very, very visible. Shigaraki looks at it and sees Deku throw the tornado. Oh, here, hold up. Alright, yep. As soon as I was about to talk about like the actual good part, I had to do something. So, yeah. Where did I leave off? I don't remember. Oh, yeah. So the fire Yeah, he says like, "Oh man, I hope this works." And then the fire around him starts to spin in a current. So, it gets stronger and stronger, then it forms into a fire tornado. And Shiraki looks and sees Deku through the tornado getting ready to act the Nomu. I'm pretty sure I might have already said that, but okay. So yeah, he orders the Nomu to kill the boy as like, Deku is approaching the Nomu. And he reaches him and jumps up and then puts his like fist back to punch the Nomu. And I'm gonna say Deku's eyes like grow with fire again, and his entire arm is made up of fire. Like that's just it. And he punches the Nomu, and then it starts to burn away, like a decay. And then like the flame was so powerful that it had like a blue color in it. So blue fire that's intense. And Shigaraki gets mad, screaming like, "No, that's not possible. How can a puny student or puny child like be able to defeat a high Nomu that quickly?" And Deku looks at the Nomu and sees that it's starting to regenerate. So he steps back and gets in his fighting stance again. Like his new move that he just tested out, it didn't work. So Shigaraki starts to laugh again, saying like, "Fooled ya." Like he was actually kind of fooling him. I ain't gonna lie. Like he knew that the Nomu wasn't being taken down. So Bakugo came up beside Deku because he seen what was going on and then got in a fighting stance as well. So Deku didn't say a word and knew like they had to win. So then a large boom was heard from the side of the wall, and All Might was seen standing there. And he'd even take a second to like show that he was there. He would like immediately rush down and started to attack the Nomu. And the fight went as normal, and Shiraki was forced to retreat, but Deku was gonna chase him down. But then he seen that All Might was like steaming and coughing up blood, so he knew like he also couldn't reach Shigaraki in time, so he just decided to rush over to All Might instead. And Shigaraki got away, and all the teachers like they started rushing to find the other students. 13 was also rushed to the nurses office because she was still majorly injured. But Azawa was all right. He wasn't hurt at all really. All he has is like a cast on his arm. That's really it. So yeah, should I just go ahead and end it? Yeah, yeah, I should end it. So later the police showed up, and as the same with all the other stories or what ifs, yeah, UA was put on a hold with a 2 week break. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end it off there. All right, well, let me know what you guys think of this part, and yeah, I gotta censor one word. I'm pretty sure, and hopefully I did. Hopefully I didn't just be lazy and like do nothing about it. But yeah, make sure you all have yourselves a good one, and peace out, I guess.